A piece of classical music gives a film or television show the tension, drama, or emotional depth that a pop or rock song can sometimes miss. Sergeant Elias's death scene in Platoon is probably most famous for its use of Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings. As the wounded Sergeant Elias is gunned down by the Viet Cong, the haunting melody combined with the lush strings creates a heart-wrenching effect. Unfortunately, the music supervisors for 20 other films and TV shows thought so too. There's no disputing the power of this work, but after repeated use, it can get a bit, well, boring. Barber is not the only favorite. Watch how many scenes use Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat.
We were being sent to a place called Falkenau. He knew what that meant.
Access countries!
Why do they look so serious?
Wait, what's so
Señor DeWitt?
Yeah. So you have to leave the camera with us if we want to watch.
They're not allowed to be the whole story as they are.
Or laziness.
You might also recognize O Fortuna from Karl Orff's cantata Carmina Burana, which has since become a kitschy archetype of pop culture, used in commercials, sports, and even video games.
1, 2, 3.
Most big Hollywood films have original scores made especially for them by a composer. But choosing pre-written music often falls in the hands of a music supervisor, a person trained to match music and visual media. So when it comes to classical music, why do we keep hearing the same pieces? There are a few reasons. According to the Guild of Music Supervisors have a twofold responsibility of choosing and licensing music, meaning that their legal expertise is just as important as their ears. And with the dominance of pop and rock soundtracks,
If I was a flower growing, I put a spell on the
finding the hidden gems of classical music history is, unsurprisingly, not their priority. The more cliched classical standards guarantee a certain emotional effect. And even though many works are in the public domain, recordings of more obscure pieces can be difficult to license. But as we saw earlier, certain pieces too easily fall into favor and repeated use. They quickly become fixed tropes of a specific mood or environment, so much so that eventually there is no room for mobility and experimentation. And that does matter. There's no shortage of music that falls under this umbrella, with a rich catalog that spans hundreds of years. If music supervisors made it their business to dig a little deeper, they could pick lesser-known works with more original sounds that evoke the same exact sentiments and influence as the greatest hits. What happens when we swap out and replace the pieces we heard earlier? Instead of Adagio for strings, what about Carl Nielsen's Andante Lamentosa for strings? Or Dmitri Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony? Everyone knows Chopin's Nocturnes. But what about the countless other composers who wrote piano nocturnes as well, like Clara Schumann? Or Gabriel Fauré? And rather than the go-to battle music of O Fortuna, why not Rossini's Stabat Mater? Or Dvorak's Requiem? The point isn't that these pieces are inherently better than the originals. It's that they each impart their own distinct character and substance to a scene. Musical choices are as pivotal as the production design, cinematography, and even the talent. For so many films and TV shows to rely on the same pieces for convenience is simply lazy, and it shows a lack of respect for the audience. The classics are great for a reason, but for film and television, they shouldn't just be defaults. And with a more thoughtful selection, a viewer can experience the emotion, intensity, and depth that classical music adds to a scene, without the distraction of wondering if they've heard the piece before.